Henry was happily married 2 years to his lovely wife, Carmen. When they were newlyweds, they were excited to spend the rest of their lives together, raising many children. Although he wasn't very religious, Henry still had respect for those who were.
Not me,
He would say.
I could do life without God. I have all I ever wanted, and I worked hard to get it.
And it was true. He was a very hard worker. His biggest virtue was his persistence. He hated to give up on anything. To him, prayer was like giving someone else problems that he was to solve himself. In their second year of marriage, Henry and Carmen had their first child, a boy, and they named him Jack. After his birth, their marriage began to get rocky. You see, Henry grew up in an unstable household and never really knew his father. So naturally, he didn't have much of a clue how to be a good one to his son. Then there was his marriage. The honeymoon phase was well over, and now he needed to manage living with another person under the same roof while dealing with the same problems. Because he had no role model, Henry trusted in who he thought was best, himself. Based on his poor childhood, he did know that he was to provide for his family. So that's what he did. He worked constantly and barely came home.
As long as they have food and a roof over their heads, things are well,
He would say. However, Carmen didn't think so. She would tell him that because he wasn't home much, he was growing distant and cold.
Who do you think you are to tell me that? Don't you think I love you? I'm keeping you fed and warm, woman.
He would tell her. One day, Henry had a hard day at work. He was exhausted and stressed out about everything that needed to get done around the house. When he came through the door, Carmen told him that Jack broke the TV. Henry then flew into a rage.
Why weren't you watching him? Now I have to work double time just to buy a new TV.
Carmen shot back at him.
Why are you talking to me like that? You've changed.
As she said that, she shoved Jack into his arms, grabbed her car keys, and started to leave.
Bye.
He said,
Maybe if you didn't come back, things would be getting better around here.
Henry's words pierced her heart as she left down the road. As the sun went down, Carmen didn't return home. Soon it was bedtime, so Henry fed Jack and laid him in his crib. He reached for the TV remote, but then remembered the TV was broken. He then decided to go to bed early. At 2 a.m., he was awakened by his phone ringing. It was a number he didn't recognize. Tempted to ignore the call, he decided to pick up anyway. It was the sheriff who informed him that his wife had been in a head-on collision and died on impact. His heart dropped as his mind went back to the last words he told her. A deep sense of guilt came upon him as he looked at his sleeping son.
My life is over. I cursed my wife and now my son has no mother. God, if you are there, where are you?
His son then awoke from sleep, saw his father weeping from guilt and shame, and smiled. Like Henry, we can get so consumed with life that we neglect the life giver. And as we do, we realize that though things may be going well for the moment, we don't know how to handle the accumulating problems that arise. We trust ourselves to solve everything, but that's too big of a burden to bear. So we end up doing and saying foolish things, regretting them later, and then blaming God for our misery. Like Carmen, when God isn't the center of one's life, we start to get confused by what we see. We think that life is simple, that whatever glitters is gold, yet nothing is genuine unless God is involved. She thought Henry was a good man, but discovered his true colors as time passed. She failed to see that without God, Henry really had no reason to stay the same person that she knew. However, when God is held in high esteem, all actions will revolve around him. This includes within your relationships with those who love him. And like Henry's self-abasement, we wallow in guilt when we do foolish things without God. Then we think life is not worth living because of loss or tragedy. The devil then tries to make us forget God's subtle reminder that we still have a purpose and that others are depending on us. While holding God in low esteem, we allow ourselves to become bound by spirits of depression and suicide. And finally, like Jack, we are to be people who see the value in others, no matter if we don't know what they've done. As Jesus said, the kingdom of God belongs to little children. As long as you're still breathing, you can make an impact in the lives of others. Only do it God's way, not yours. Don't be like Henry. Be like Jack.
This was Speaker's Corner.
Restored Kingdom.